Good evening, I'm Alex Tremaine and I'm an old man that builds Gundam. Welcome to the apparently 8th part of building the Master Grade Full Armour Unicorn. Last stream we got to the enviable position of having completed the mobile suit itself. Here we go, got this in destroy mode. It's looking pretty good, and we are now on to the moving on to the probably lengthy procedure of putting together all of the weaponry and extra accoutrements that come with the full armor version. In case you've never seen one of these before, the inner frame on these is UV active and illuminates under UV light, which is kind of cool. It doesn't come out as well on camera as it does sort of in person present, but that gives you an idea of how it looks. So I'm just going to put this out of the way so I can't hurt it while we work. Right, so we have two beam magnums to build, two hyper bazookas. Let me bring this up a little bit so it's a little clearer. So yes, two beam magnums to build, two hyper bazookas, 3 shields, 2 apparently hyper beam javelins, 6 beam gatling guns of 2 varieties, a sort of left-handed and a right-handed version, and 2 boosters, and the boosters themselves can be constructed into some kind of booster rocket sled, which is how we'll be configuring them rather than attaching them to the back of the mobile suit itself. So I think all in all, it's probably time to just dig into this. I hope you've all had a nice Friday and Saturday. Yes, Miss Temperance, it is a whole lot of armament. It's they don't kid around with this kit, apparently. It's just all the guns, every last gun. So when last we spoke it was Thursday. I hope you've all had a lovely Friday and Saturday. I spent Friday evening playing the new X3 expansion, Farnham's Legacy, which has been quite interesting, and I've continued on with that a little bit today, and along with sleeping till 11 o'clock this morning, which was really nice, just really nice. And tomorrow I plan a similarly quiet day. I also had some really nice cheese and bacon sandwiches for lunch. Ooh, absolutely delicious. So I hope you've been having a good weekend as well, and yeah, let's dig into this thing. So I suspect we're going to be breaking into some sprues that we haven't had to break into yet. So we need sprue Y, which I think, yes, we've got sprue Y already. That's hanging up. Sprue N. I don't think sprue N is on my list, so we need to grab that. Sprue I. I've got sprue I. Y, N. O. I've got sprue O. X. Haven't got X. Right. Right, let's grab sprue N for the moment. I think that's the important one right now. So those two are both sprue N. And given them here, we've got these two are both sprue X, which also seems to be the next one that's required. So I'm just going to mute myself very briefly whilst I wrestle with these plastic bags so that you don't have to hear the crackling noise. One moment. Alright, there we go. That's the crinkling out of the way. So let's have a look at these. Sprue N, I think I'm just going to keep those here for the moment. And sprue X is a pair of these mixed colour sprues. And we've got the these are hyper bazooka stuff, we've got some grenade stuff, we've got the various parts of hyper beam javelins. These are the hyper beam javelin blades. This green and this green are as well, and these are parts of shields. So all sorts of exciting stuff on there. Right, we're going to put these up on the hangers. We're also going to put these up on the hangers. We'll put these up on put these up over here because I think we're going to need them more often. That way around. So while we're here, let's grab the parts we need for this. So we need N6 and N7. We've got to make two of these, so we need the ones off this sprue and the ones off the other sprue N. There we go. We need the same ones again. This and this. Stay where you put. Right, so we need those, and then we need Y19 and I18. So I is here. We need I19, so I18 and 19 and Y18 and 19. Okay. So this is I19 and I18. We also need Y. Where is sprue Y? Sprue Y is over here. And these are the same things, just on a different sprue. There we go. Okay, so let's start. Something stuck in my throat. Alright, so let's start tidying these up. With this one, it's probably about as good an angle as I'm getting. So it has been miserable here today. I had been kind of hoping to get out into the garage, but the weather has been not salubrious. It has been lashing down all day to some degree or other. You know, it's sort of pulled itself back to a mild drizzle on a couple of occasions just to try and make us feel better, but not much. So yeah, I've had no inclination to go out into the world. Not that I ever have much inclination to go out into the world, because the world kind of sucks. But yeah, the garage wasn't happening today. There's no sort of proper hard-fitted power out to the garage, so in order to get power out there, I've got to run an extension lead the length of the garden down to the garage at the bottom, and that's not always, if the rain is too heavy like it's been today, that's not, generally speaking, entirely safe. So I've kind of a little dependent on the weather for the garage, because it's way too dark in there to do anything without having actual lights. There are not sufficient in the way of windows or anything to get enough light in there to work without extra sort of without artificial lighting of some variety. Even on a sunny day, there's not enough. But hey ho, we'll see what tomorrow looks like. Though I have a suspicion that what tomorrow is going to look like is me staying in bed, maybe watching some wrestling in the morning. And that'll probably be it for my day. Well, no, I've got a role-playing game on Sunday evenings, tabletop game. So we've had a couple of weeks off because people have had things going on. But this week is the first week back after that break, so there will be some of that tomorrow evening. Which would be good. Catch up with people. And then it's back to it's Monday again and back to work. Yay. But hey ho, it is what it is. there it is. Knew there was a third nub mark on this somewhere. For the life of me, couldn't see it. So theoretically, at the end of the month, should be getting the second. Should be around when we get the second COVID jab here, which would be nice. Must look into that this week. We got invited for the first one, but I don't know if that's still the case for the second, or if we have to go asking for it. Been enjoying X3 Farnham's Legacy. It's because the most recent of the X series that I've played has been a fair bit of X4 Foundations. I've got this weird sort of getting used to it process of trying to get used to playing to the sort of systems of X3 again, but also the fact that the systems aren't entirely the same as I remember them for X3, because a lot of them have been updated for this particular sort of re-release expansion. It's not strictly speaking DLC, but kind of is. It's probably the best way to describe it at any rate. So yeah, it's been a weird learning curve and unlearning curve, sort of fighting memory of what I expect and what it isn't. But it has been fun, which is the critical thing. I've actually forgotten, even though it's I mean, the X3 engine is definitely showing its age. It still looks pretty decent for what it is. And I'm still enjoying playing it, which is the sort of critical part of the process, I guess. Go. So, how does this work? This goes this way around. Okay, goes on there, and this together like so, and then one of these goes in there until it clicks like so. There we go. Right, so that's one of those done. Do the next one. go. Right, so let's do second one of these. There we go. Two of those done. Right, so I16, N4 and N10. I16. N4 and N10. And then on the other side we're going to need N4 and N10 again. So let's get the a second N4 and N10. There's N4. So N4 and N10, and it's Y11 for the other part. So this is Y11. Let's have something a little bit more awake. So these two are basically entirely identical. Here is what parts are actually going to be visible. Right. Those aren't going to be visible. Those are going to be visible. Now again on this one. Right, so So this one goes over here, I guess. one goes on that side. Same here with these. So goes on this side. We have Shitapopu, thank you for the host. How are you doing this evening? How's the St Andrew going? Oh, house hunting is miserable. It is the absolute worst. It's been ages since we've had to do it, and it still gives me horrors thinking back on it. We came so close to finding a place that was a place we really liked, and we went back for a second viewing, and we were so lucky it was raining on the second viewing, because if it hadn't been, we never would have known about the roof leak it had. Oh yeah, just streaming down an internal wall in the rain. And that was just one of that's just the one that instantly leaps to mind as to what a pain it was. But yeah, I don't envy you. Have you had any joy on the house hunting front? Has anything? I mean, I can't imagine what house hunting in London's like. I've never had to do that. It's always been places that are significantly more civilized price-wise. So, have you had any joy? Erith. Is that... I am not tremendously familiar with sort of boroughs of London and the like. Kentish. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I've got some friends who live Essex way and commute in. Which, you know, or they used to commute in. Yeah, I can well believe it. You buying or renting? Oof. Yeah, that sounds absolutely awful. We did it sort of, I don't know, nearly 10 years ago now was when we moved. And we were moving from rental to purchased at the time. So we even had the good fortune of, yeah, so like us, we even had the good fortune of not having to worry about selling a place in order to buy a new place. And given how much of a bloody nightmare the whole process was, when you're just buying a place without selling a place at the same time, no chain, nothing, it was still a fucking nightmare. Well, you have my deepest sympathy, and I wish you the best of luck with it, because it's so tiring and it can be so frustrating, but you will get there in the end. You will find something that works for you, and that is the place you need. It'll come. How long have you been looking? N 8 and 9. I mean, the housing market was in a very different place sort of 10 years ago. So, I don't know what it would be like now. But obviously, again, the difference between the West Midlands and London is going to be, you know, even then, it was a totally different game between the West Midlands and London. we managed to get a place for. We were very lucky in the sort of the place we got. It had been on the market for a while. It was a solid property, but it had been decorated very well. It had been last decorated in the 1970s, and that clearly had been putting some people off. It's been on the market for about a year with nobody really showing any interest, but the property itself was solid, you know. Had a garage. So we really did. I mean, it's just the library is literally just the front room, you know. It's just that we don't need a sitting room. The back of the house is a kitchen diner, but we sort of turned it into a kitchen / sitting room and put the and changed the front room into a the library. So it's not. I mean, the house isn't big, you know. It's a 50s council house. 50s ex-council house. That's where it is. Knew there was another nub mark I had to deal with on this. So people have been gazumping you, I take it. That's never pleasant. We had that happen a couple of times. Always frustrating. Particularly when you think you've found something that you really want. Occasions we went back for, or we tried to organise second viewings, only to find that the property had gone off the market in the meantime. Which was incredibly disappointing, but you will get there in the end. It'll come. Build is going okay. Currently building the manual is referring to it as beam magnums, because everything has to be extreme. We have 2 beam magnums, 2 hyper bazookas, some grenades, hyper beam javelins, and some other bits and pieces. I think they managed to restrain themselves and just call the shields. I find the wet and dry paper really, really good. No, come back. You get back on there. Yeah, I find the wet and dry paper really good. I'm using... So this just goes on... Why is that not... There it is, right. There we go. I'm using I use, so this is 1500 grit, this one is 7000 grit, and I use those sort of sequentially. Gets a really nice clean shine. The wet and dry lasts longer than just sandpaper, because you can it's harder wearing, and because you're keeping it in water, you can flush out a lot of the plastic off the abrasive paper, so it takes longer to load up. So I can I'll get through one of each of these in a stream. These are on just brass rule that I cut in half using a cutting disc, just lengthways down the brass rule and across the middle as well. I've got another 2 pieces of brass this size. Gives a nice hard flat surface on, and I've got some fancy double-sided sticky tape that I just stick it on there with, and it works really well. I've been really pleased with it since moving to it. It's a big improvement on sort of what I was doing before. Right, so that is one side. Certainly in the past, when I was still using just the essentially sandpaper, I was having to prep sort of 2 or 3 of each, 2 or 3 of each sort of grit per stream, so these last much longer, and as I say, it's much gets a better finish, and it's less dust, which is, no bad thing. I still start off with just regular sort of finishing papers, this is like this is 320 grit, just to get it just to get the worst off, get it level, and then start polishing it up with the wet and dry. But yeah, definitely been an improvement since I've moved to this. Looking forward to seeing how this sort of, looking forward to doing a perfect grade with this process, because the last perfect grade I did, I was just using the finishing paper, and that that came out pretty well, don't get me wrong, but I think this will be even more effective. You were you Sinanjuing today? Hey, blimey, haven't seen you for a while. I have not seen one of those multi-angle sanding sliders. I shall have to investigate what one of those looks like. I found it quite difficult to source the I'm going to attempt to pronounce display. I've never worked out how that's supposed to be pronounced, but I have found it difficult to source their products in this country. It looks like very much an import thing. Let's have a look. Hand operated tools. Aluminium alloy sanding boards. That sounds nice. Multi-angle sanding slider, here we go. What does one of these look like when it's at home? Wow. Yeah, you know what, that's kind of tempting. I love the look of that. Yeah, I'd certainly considered glass, bite me. I went with the I went with wet and dry due to availability and price at the time, and to be honest, I found it very effective. But yeah, I have looked enviously at glass files on occasion, but now I'm looking enviously at that multi-angle sanding slider because that's super cool. I have not seen one of those before, and that is yeah, wow. I looked at display stuff when I was first sourcing cutters, side cutters, because God hands are expensive and take forever to arrive. And the reviewers were all saying that the display cutters were very good. But in the end, sort of the Vulcans were these Vulcans were the ones that were most easily available to me of the well-reviewed products, and I have to say I've been very pleased with these Vulcans. They're pretty solid pieces of kit. Right, so let's get this all in. There we go. But yeah, I've heard exceptional things about the display tools. The STA3, okay. I have a backup, I've got some of the standard double-bladed Tamiya cutters. Can't think of the model number now, but the ones the Tamiya cutters that everybody recommends. I have a pair of those as a backup. Though they're probably going to my wife, who is okay. Okay. Well, as I say, until these stop cutting, I'm sticking with these, because these have a nice shallow angle on them. They're a single blade cutter, like the yeah, I'm always surprised when I go into, I mean, it's been years since I've been into a hobbycraft, but I'm always surprised by the sort of the supply of sort of geeky model stuff that's in there. You know, the first time I saw 40k kits in hobbycraft, I was like, really? Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I was not expecting it. Right, so we need some parts off the end sprue again. So we need N1 and N3 and N2. Okay, so N1 N2 yeah, I've been very pleased with the Vulcans and N3. They, considering how expensive they were, they've been just a great all-purpose cutter, and they do a really nice close cut as well. Get back up there. But yeah, Hobbycraft has all sorts of sort of Games Workshop, Citadel, I mean same thing effectively, but Games Workshop, Citadel, Tamiya stuff. It's Hobbycraft is surprisingly thorough about the hobbies it covers in ways I was not necessarily expecting. don't even know if our Hobbycraft is still open. There's one on a we've got one on a retail site on the edge of the city, but I don't know if it's still there or not at the moment. I assume so. Okay, so I need Y10 and I17. Y10 and I17, which should be the same thing. Yes. There we go. Right, so this is going inside N2, so I don't have to worry about any of the nub marks on this one. Nothing here is going to be visible. But we do have to put some fucking stickers on these. Which is never a fun part. How have you been anyway, Blightme? Life treating you well? Yeah, I hear that. Very much with you there. So, I don't know exactly, I'm finding it difficult to estimate how long it's going to take to finish all of the full armour parts of this build. Oh yeah, what did you order? I've been queuing up perfect grades to build. Not entirely deliberately, but it's kind of happened that way. Things happen. I've got 2 perfect grade unicorns to build, so you know, I have a unicorn and a Banshee Norn. That wasn't entirely intentional at the time, but you know, actually say, things fall into shopping carts. Cool. I have 2 perfect grades and 2 of these to go with them. So things just happen, you know, and nobody can be blamed. Right, so we have to put a sticker on this of some variety. Come on, you can do it. Here it is. So what sticker is going on here? Sticker... this one. 1 to 50. And how long is that going to take you to build? Yes, I can absolutely believe that it's massive at 1 to 50. 20 inches. Jesus Christ. That's a lot of model. Right, so theoretically this goes in here like so. There we go. And a nice green reflective there. And then this clips on there. Well, they will have measured it under the tallest possible circumstances. Ah. Now, Zoids I haven't built since I was a kid. I mean, thinking back, just sort of trying to put myself in the position of where I was living, which is how I generally judge what age I was. Third party kit. Okay. I would have been... So I was living in East Anglia at the time, so I would have been somewhere between 8 and 10 when I bought, when I had Zoids. And I had a few of the small ones. I had a little sort of... had a couple of the small wind-up ones. I had a small wind-up spider. And I had... a small wind-up sort of slug-like thing, I want to say, caterpillar maybe, difficult to sort of describe. And then I had a couple of the large battery operated ones, which are probably larger in my mind than they actually are in reality, because I was a small sort of 8 to 10-year-old human at the time. I had the Gorilla. Can't think of the name. No idea what the names of the kits were. Yeah, I had a Gorilla, and I had I want to say a Mammoth of some variety. Everybody wanted the there was a T-Rex. Everybody wanted the T-Rex, and I cannot remember what that was called, but I never had a T-Rex. They were devilishly hard to get hold of at the time. They were sold out everywhere. But I remember the kits being very cool. So do Hasbro not own them anymore? Did they sell them on? I mean, Hasbro owns so many things. It's difficult to keep track. Sometimes, of all the things I like that Hasbro owns. There we go. Cool. Always nice when people are willing to do that kind of thing. That's yes, so I had one of the Iron Kongs. I don't know exactly which version it was. Looking at these pictures, it would have been the Gore the Lord Protector version, I guess, or Robostrux, or the Badox one. Difficult to tell, but it was that colour scheme anyway. And Mammoth the Destroyer, I guess. I think it must have been. Which again was very cool. I remember really enjoying those builds as a kid. I prefer the build experience of Gunpla to the Zoids, I think. I like the idea of the Zoids, but I think the design aesthetics of Gundams are just cooler to me, and the and I prefer the sort of the clean result of a Gunpla build, as opposed to sort of all the little sort of rubber caps that hold everything together on a Zoid. It makes for a very, very effective sort of build, but I think I just prefer I prefer both the subjects and the assembly process of Gunpla to the Zoids. I mean, you're not entirely wrong there. I think we're coming, well, the mobile suit portion of this build is complete. The unicorn exists. Obviously, this being the full armour variant, there is a whole pile of weapons and armour bits to be added to it. But I'd like to hope that this build is approaching completion, after which it'll be the next build will be the perfect grade Strike Freedom will be the next build. I'm looking forward to. And whilst the Strike Freedom is built offline, while the Strike Freedom is being built online, I will be looking at the offline. I will be building one of the PG unicorns, so that with the lighting unit, so that I can get an idea of how they go together. And then once the Strike Freedom's done, I will move on to build the other perfect grade unicorn on stream with the lighting unit. And hopefully by that point it will all be familiar to me, and I will just be able to get on with it with no surprises or unexpected problems. What are you avoiding? Have you got a? Are you avoiding a strike freedom, or are you just a perfect grade of some variety, or just your next build? Any particular reason you're avoiding it? Gotta say, I am rather looking forward to mine. Ah. Yeah, that makes sense. Something I am going to have to do before putting it together is actually fit the shelf that it's going to go on, which I have. I've just been, you know, any time that I've had time to fit a shelf, I've been, you know, building Gundam instead. But that's not a sustainable strategy. I am very much looking forward to seeing the 4.5 in backlog. What's the half? I'm assuming that's a build you've already started. And what are the other 4 as well? Sky Grasper. Yeah. That's fair. My Sky Grasper came with the Strike Rouge kit, so I didn't get it separately. But yes, it is. Whilst a perfect grade, scale and detail, it is only half a kit. I've been toying with taking the Ale Striker off the back of the Strike Rouge mobile suit and refitting it to the Sky Grasper. Oh, the PGU Gramps. That looks like a serious build. I've seen some not entire builds of it, but I've seen some parts of builds of the PGU, and it looks like quite a task. Mostly been, well, last few builds have all been master grades of various types. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like the completed kits, but the build itself is what keeps me entertained. It's why I've got, you know, it's why I build kits off stream as well as on stream, because I enjoy the building, and the completion is a pleasant accomplishment, but it just sort of leaves me hankering after the next thing to put together. I nearly got the MGEX Unicorn, which I think is, have they done any other MGEX kits? Is the Unicorn still the only one? But I seriously considered that on a few occasions, but ended up getting in the end getting the perfect grade Unicorns. I mean, all the pictures of it look fantastic. But I have heard some negative noise about the results, about weaknesses in the LED ribbon and things. Yeah, okay. Welcome back, Shitty. Right, so now we have to build the ammo magazine. Yeah, the hyper bazookas are. Hang on a minute, let's so here's our weapon selection. So we've got the hyper bazookas here. We've got the 2 beam magnums, 3 shields, 2 rocket boosters. They're going to be turned into a rocket sled, 6 beam gatlings. And 2 hyper beam javelins, because everything must be superlatives, apart from shields, I guess. Yeah, I found the bazookas were one of the few weak points I found on the real grade full armor Unicorn. I kind of get where you're coming from, Shitty. I'd be tempted to, if it wasn't easily repairable, I'd be tempted to buy it again to get it right. So we need a couple of sprues that are hanging all the way over there at the end, because these are the parts that make the ammo pack. So we need 5 of these per ammo pack. Yeah, they do have, I mean, the left and right build out is so that I understand why it's like that. It's so that it looks symmetrical and cool sat on the back of, when they're strapped to the back of the Unicorn. But yes, it does mean that they're, not tremendously useful in and of themselves necessarily. So we need 10 of these, though we appear to have 16 of them. So we're going to have some spare. Let's get rid of From a practical perspective, I absolutely agree. From an aesthetic perspective, I totally understand why they wanted to have symmetrical bazookas strapped to the back of the Gundam. I mean, I like the I've just cut too many of these out. Never mind. I like the brain. Complete a sentence. I like the sort of central mounting of the bazooka on the new Gundam, where it just sits right down the spine. I think that's a better way of doing it, but you know. As far as I can tell with the unicorn, everything about the unicorn's design is about looking cool rather than being useful. And I get that, you know. The fact that it looks cool is why I like the unicorn. The Utri pack loadout? I am not familiar, I'm afraid. Oh yeah, the Strike Rouge is it's just really good looking. Yes, I love the backpack on the Strike Rouge. I just really loved the Strike Rouge build, to be honest. That was, I think, until I did the Master Grade Rezel, the Strike Rouge was probably the most satisfying build I'd done, both sort of build wise and result wise. Certainly combination of build and result. Right, so that's one. Okay, you know what, we're just going to go through these. I like the fact that you can take the backpack off the mobile suit and fit it to the Skygrasper, and it makes the Skygrasper look even cooler. I've moved mine back and forth a couple of times and still haven't decided where I prefer it. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I love the perfect grade version of the Skygrasper. It's a really nice little aircraft. Does the real grade Skygrasper come with the with the real grade Strike Rouge, or is it a separate kit? Ah, right, okay. So separate kit, I guess. That's fair. How many jets are there? I'm sort of aware of the Sky Grasper because I've got it, but I don't know. My knowledge of Gundam itself is limited. So I've largely picked up information about the kits I own, but not about much else. Though I really should. I still haven't looked into into what show the Rezel comes from, and given how much I enjoyed the Rezel build and the result of the Rezel build, I should really investigate that. The Rezel is a dumb but fantastic model. Right. The Rezel is sort of just the right kind of over the top for my tastes. I would dearly love them to do a perfect grade Rezel. It'd be a monster of a kit though. Okay, cool. I shall have to keep an eye out for those. Akatsuki Gundam. Okay. I shall have to go looking through the real grades that are available. The last thing I need right now is another perfect grade. Master grade. Okay, cool. Well, master grades tend to be priced somewhere around the same mark as real grades, so certainly around here anyway. Yeah, N5. Let's just grab N5s whilst I think about it. So I've got something to finish these off with. N5. you. Don't need to worry about that because that will be fully concealed. That will need doing, and that will need doing. In there. How many of these we're doing? 5. So we're at 3. That's 4. forgot they did the Sky Grasper as a separate thing in perfect grade. If memory serves, the Strike Rouge is a colour swap on one of the earlier perfect grade kits, but comes with the Sky Grasper, whereas the earlier kit doesn't come with the Sky Grasper. But I can't remember what the earlier perfect grade kit was. Right, so we have a magazine, Sky and the Ale Striker. Yeah, that would make sense. So the magazine sits in there like so. And then that arm flips round to try and keep it all secure in place. And that is one completed beam magnum. I mean, it looks more like a rifle than a pistol to me, but I mean, you know, whatever works, I guess. But there we are. Right, now that one of those is finished, yeah, so the perfect grade Ale Strike Sky Grasper comes out really rather nicely. It's nice little kit, movable turret, and various, I'm trying to remember how this, yes, various shifting parts. So there we go. That lifts and separates. But yeah, I really enjoyed. I mean, as I say, I enjoyed everything about the Strike Rouge, and that includes the Sky Grasper. It's a really nice kit. Comes with landing gear as well, in case you want to put the Gundam on the, in case you want to put the mobile suit on the stand. Right, so one beam magnum down. Need to build another one, but it is 9:45, so. Oh yeah, what extras does it have, like me? Stop getting distracted. Shield and striker pack on the back with the Grasper and some extra guns for the strike. Okay, cool. Awesome. Right. 2 or 3 minute break while I get a fresh drink, because that is empty and we've been going for 2¼ hours now apparently. time flies by when you're having fun. Right, back in a few short minutes. Right, welcome back. Yeah. I remember there's definitely a way in the Strike Rouge kit to attach the beam rifle and shield to the Sky Grasper, one on each side. Which I haven't done because it just looks a little uneven to me, but currently I have the Ale Striker mounted on the Strike Rouge. But I can certainly see the appeal of extra guns for the Strike Rouge. Does essentially only have the one armament. Though thinking about extra weapons, I really need to go back to the Zeta Gundam kit and try and get the bloody light up beam saber to work properly. It's such a cool idea, but it just doesn't quite work when you put it together. It needs some time spent with needle nose pliers and maybe some extra wiring to get it to work properly. And maybe just some tin foil to improve connections, I'm not sure. I keep forgetting that it's on my list of things to fix. And it would be really nice to get it fixed because it would look so cool. should also really look at really swap the Zeta back into mobile suit mode as well, rather than having it sitting in Wave Rider mode. Thank you, Shitty. It's mostly down to the shuffle. I haven't really messed with the playlist an awful lot recently, so it's just sort of luck of the draw at the moment. At some point I really need to sit down and go through things and weed out some of the less useful stuff in here. Yeah, I quite like this one. This is... who is this? This is apparently Brendan Moeller. Peripheral Vision is the name of the track. I'm afraid I kind of just grabbed a bunch of stuff from the Epidemic Sound trance and euphoric sections with the intention of sort of then making note of ones I enjoy, but I'm normally just too focused on building to actually remember to go, ooh, this one's good. Let's build up a list of stuff that's actually that's sort of really good, instead of just, you know, broadly within the boundaries of what I like, if that makes sense. So at some point I'm going to have to spend some time sitting down and doing that properly. God, I wish I could play licensed music. Copyrighted music, rather. There would be wall-to-wall Sisters of Mercy and VMV Nation in here. Actually, no, that's not true. There would be other things as well. Cool. That's always nice when artists are willing to help out like that. But yeah, that'd be nice. I need to, as I say, I need to have a proper sit down with the Epidemic Sound catalogue and really work through the stuff that I actually genuinely enjoy. I was never super into drum and bass at the time. I liked it when I heard it, but I never really got into drum and bass back in the day when it was sort of de rigueur, you know. There is a lot of drum and bass that I've heard and enjoyed. I was not so much a kid when it was at its peak, but I was listening to other things at the time. I think when drum and bass was really sort of at its peak, I was more listening to goth and metal and future pop and things like that. Though my tastes in music remain tastes in music remain fairly eclectic. I mean, my default is still sort of goth metal, industrial. I always enjoyed rave and other electronic stuff. You know, I was a teen when the Prodigy were sort of putting stuff out the first time round. I remember being, you know, being in school when things like Charlie Said were just coming out, and everybody was umming and ahhing over the you know, people were up in arms about the drug message to the children. Same with Ebenezer Good from the Shaman. There's another band I love. Shaman were great. I still go back and listen to the Shaman fairly regularly. And Prodigy. Shaman sort of stopped releasing new stuff though, unlike the Prodigy, who just seemed to keep going forever. The Shaman disappeared off the face of the earth. I think they're still involved in stuff, but I think most of the members of the Shaman ended up doing more sort of production rather than actual sort of being in a band, as it were, as things moved on. Right, so we have, well, if you ever get the chance, can strongly recommend seeing Rammstein live, can strongly recommend seeing Nine Inch Nails live. Right, we now have 2 Beam Magnums. Let's just bring one of these up here. With their little green reflective sticker in the sight. And the removable magazine. But yeah, they've come out rather nicely. As I say, I really enjoy. I have really enjoyed over here with bring our boy back over here briefly, and here's the mobile suit in destroy mode, apart from the head, because that's fiddly as all get out. It wouldn't be dramatic if it hit all the time, would it? That's the problem. Sense gives way to drama. Right, I'm just going to clip these together. Actually, let's just clip these onto here so they don't go missing. But yeah, if you ever get the chance, I can strongly recommend Nine Inch Nails and Rammstein. I can strongly recommend Disturbed, if you can ever get the chance to see them. Korn were a decent live show. Who else have I seen of the sort of industrial end of things? They're probably the big ones. Yeah, I know where you're coming from, Blightme. Let's get that out of the way. So the question is, what is next? The next thing is apparently 8 hand grenades, which involves Sprue X, which I think is the multicoloured sprues. Yes. So we need 8 of X13, which is these. Yeah, only seen 9 Inch Nails the once, shitty. That was a hell of an experience. Seen Rammstein a couple of times though. Also, phenomenal stage show. So X13, X2 and X3. So here's these. Only seen Disturbed the once. That was at download several years ago now. So which way? Let's hang that back up. Right, let's build 4 of these and then we'll build another 4 after that. Oh, Rage Against the Machine as well. Excellent live. Not exactly industrial, but just of bands that I have seen that have been outstanding live, Rage Against the Machine rank right up there. They were supposed to be touring last year, before everything happened. as I understand it, the intention is that they still intend to do that at some point, once everything's possible to do such things again. Well, the way it is, we could do with some more Rage Against the Machine. Something I'm hoping is that, given all the compilation albums and re-releases that they've been putting out recently, that there might be the possibility to maybe see the KLF live at some point in the next couple of years, given they seem to be active and doing stuff again. I mean, I'll settle for a new album, but I mean, just having access to a remastered version of the White Room on Spotify is more than I ever imagined I would get from the KLF. Genuinely thought they were that they had finished and done whatever they were going to do. Given how firmly they departed the music scene. Firing a gun full of blanks into the crowd. It's an awards show. And I believe there was something about a dead sheep as well. They never did anything by halves, the KLF. But equally they were people who very clearly understood what the music industry was and wasn't. And had a very clear understanding of what they wanted to get out of the music industry. Still, I was very glad I was able to lay my hands on a copy of The White Room many years ago, before they deleted their entire catalogue. Doesn't go in the water. So, we have a little grenade pod, for want of a better term. When did the KLF? When was it? That was the Brit Awards. There we go. They had planned to throw buckets of blood over the audience or to disembowel a dead sheep on stage, but were prevented from doing so due to opposition from BBC lawyers. The performance was instead concluded with a limping, kilted, cigar-chomping Drummond firing blanks from an automatic weapon over the heads of the crowd. And as they left the stage, the KLF's promoter proclaimed over the PA system that the KLF have now left the music business. So, there you go. That's a hell of a way to go out. So I would have picked up my copy of The White Room well after that. Sometimes the music industry is a hell of a place. But I guess if you are quitting the music business, then as long as you're real fucking sure that you're not coming back into it for at least a long time. I mean, in the case of the KLF, they did absolutely nothing after that until they did a brief thing in 2000, so it was 8 years before they did anything else, and then they didn't do anything after that until this year. So it's I guess if you're real sure, then you can do whatever the hell you like. The 90s were a weird place. A genuinely batshit insane place a lot of the time. Kind of wish I'd been very slightly older in the 90s. Obviously right now I am not regretting being older in the 90s, but at the time and for a few years afterwards, I'd kind of wished I'd been a little bit older, been able to sort of really appreciate stuff like the rave scene and the like, but hey ho, you know. Probably best that I didn't. I got to appreciate the music. I mean, the 90s were all over the place musically. There's some bands I'd like to see again. Haven't seen any. Well, say that like there's been opportunity to see other kinds of bands, but I haven't seen any future pop / cybergoth bands for a long while. I would really like to see the MV Nation again, and Apoptigma Berserk and Assemblage 23. Covenant. The last band I saw live was Ghost. That was a hell of a show. They know how to put on a stage show. Oh, more drink. No idea how these mount on. I know roughly where they're supposed to go, but no idea exactly how they're fitted to the is an awful lot of sanding. For the completion of some very small items. I mean, it's worth it in the end, but it feels like I'm getting absolutely nowhere right now. Looking at the time, I suspect that once I've finished building these 4 grenade packs, I think I will call this an evening. We may take a brief peek further on in the manual. Just to have a look at how these are mounted. Because half of these, which will be the half we're building now, half of these get fitted to the legs of the mobile suit. So there must be something. There must be something that allows us to do that. And if that's a quick and easy job, then we'll do that before we finish for the evening. it's been a night with a lot of heavy sanding, because the water in my water bottle is actually cloudy for a change, which it doesn't normally get quite as noticeably cloudy in a stream. Not when I'm putting together larger parts, if that makes sense. But it is visibly clouded up in there. Right, we are nearly there. The band I got reminded about recently, which I think was through Spotify, just randomly jumping onto one of their tracks, which I don't normally let Spotify do, or it may have been YouTube, can't remember, one of those two, was Delirium. I used to listen to Delirium all the time. For many years they were on a strong presence on my playlist rotation. I have enjoyed listening to them again recently. A lot of really good electronic music they've done, of all sorts, but they've certainly done some really solid dance tracks and trance tracks. There's another one I'd be playing on stream if I could. Three done. Last piece of these four. Right. So that is 4 little grenade packs. So where does it tell us how to fit those onto the mech? Aha. RX-8. Apparently. So sprue X. Aha. That makes sense. Yeah, these are I'm always impressed by the multicolour sprues. X8. The injection molding techniques that they've developed for Gunpla are quite something. So I think anything that's going to be visible on this is this very end nub mark. So let's get that out of the way. Right, so he asks himself, which way round is it? Okay, so it's upright and it's like that and like that. Like so. There we go. And then these that's awkward. The little torso clip has come loose. There we go. There we go. grenade packs on the legs. Right, things are coming along well for this, though we still have another 4 sets of hand grenades to build, which then get fitted to the hyper bazooka, unless I'm very much mistaken. Yes, so they get fitted along here to the sides of the side of the hyper bazooka, which comes out looking like so. Got to make 2 hyper bazookas, a hyper bazooka right and a hyper bazooka left, and we've got 3 shields to build. Six beam gatling guns, 1 for each side, 2 fold up hyper beam javelins, and then we've got the which come out looking like this, and then we've got the rockets, which need to be turned into a rocket sled. Because that'll just be easier. Yeah, so here we go. Turn into a rocket sled for us. So, as it turns out, yeah, here we go. Then there is all of the stickers. So that'll be fun. But that's for the future. In the meantime, it's been a fantastic evening. Thank you all for your company. Who have we got? Who can we? There's not many of us, but we can do a bit of a raid. So yeah. Thanks for hanging around. I will see you all in the future. I shall be back on Thursday as normal, 7 o'clock-ish UK time. And yeah, everybody enjoy the rest of the weekend. Have a great week, and I shall see you in the future. So let's see who's about that we recognise. So, we're going to raid Iron-Blooded Raven, who has popped into chat on a couple of occasions. And yeah, everybody here say hi, and I shall see you in the future. Good to chat with you, Shitty. We should do need to have a catch up on the wrestling front, but for the moment I shall drop you a message later. Let's go see what Raven's doing.